Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. I'm so excited that you showed up for yourself today, showed up on the mat to join me in this movement practice. I like to give a little introduction in these classes, just who I am, a little bit of my background, why I do what I do. I started my journey, I've been studying the physical body for over 15 years, the human body, just understanding the ins and outs, how it works, why it does what it does. And whether that was in an athletic training room, working with athletes, or at a neurological respite center where I was working with the most chronically ill neurological symptoms that people face. And then also coming from my practice where I worked with patients day in and day out. So I learned a lot. And there's one thing consistently throughout every single group that I worked with: too late. And I am not immune to that. I was completely ignoring my body, pushing go, go, go until I ran out of resources. And so typically there's two types of people that make it on the mat with me. It's either those same people that had the burnout, the go, 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 and they're looking to reconnect with their body, learn more, and nourish it instead of push it to the brink. They know that they need to move. They know that they need to take care of it. They just want to do it in a safe way that's no longer destroying their body. The other kind is the type of people who haven't really experienced moving their body. They haven't really gone down that route of taking care of and listening to their body. Either way, both groups have the sides where there's this void of us listening to the wisdom that our body is trying to tell us. And as I have learned through all of my trainings, all of my courses, all of my licensures, it's that our body is holding us here on this earth. It's what allows us to experience the world. And when we can learn to listen to it, when we can learn to really give it the credit that it deserves of nurturing and gentle care versus tearing it up, pushing it past the brink, or even ignoring it. Those are the two extremes. When we can actually give it what it needs and what it deserves, it does a lot for us, and a lot of life can start to unfold. So as you're on the mat today, my goal is to help you see how important it is to connect to your body. I want to help you see where you're disconnected and where you're connected. But the ultimate goal is to show you the importance of listening to your body and what your body can do when you give it the love and nourishment that it needs. So let's begin on our mat. We're going to start in child's pose. Before we get super, super comfy, you can have blocks, books, anything to support you through this journey. I always say that having props is bringing the ground to you so that you can really truly strengthen. When we don't use those, when we refuse to use props, oftentimes it's more of our ego. And again, it goes back to not listening to our body. So we're going to go into child's pose, knees wide, arms out in front, forehead down if you can. Just holding the space for where you're at right now. Checking in, feeling the breath as it moves in and out of your nostrils. I like to use a breath called Ujjayi breath. It's just basically fogging a mirror with your mouth closed. So when you inhale through the nose, you would act like you're going to fog a mirror, but just keep your lips together. And it sounds just like you were fogging a mirror. On your next inhale, let's begin to shift forward to all fours, hands and knees. When you get there, go ahead and arch your back and look up. Exhale, round the spine. Tuck your tailbone, tuck your chin. Inhale, arch the back and look up. Exhale, round. Nice and slow movements. This class will be nice and slow, and you will have a lot of space to really connect and listen to your body. So moving slow like you're moving through honey. Exhale, round. One more. Inhale, arch the back and look up. And exhale, press back to downward facing dog. This is your first downward facing dog potentially of the day. So I like to walk out my feet, maybe roll out the hips, wag the hips side to side. Just start to find a little movement in your body. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're just trying to find where you're at right now. And then come to stillness. Continue that breath, nice and long. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, let's roll forward to plank. So lift your heels up off the mat. Coming forward, shift your heart forward to plank pose and hold here. Take a nice inhale and exhale. One more inhale. Place your knees on the earth and press back to child's pose. Inhale to all fours, arch the back and look up. Exhale, press back, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees down, child's pose. All fours on your inhale. Arch the back and look up. Exhale, lead with your tailbone, press back to downward facing dog. Moving forward to plank. Inhale. And exhale, knees down, child's pose. All fours, hands and knees, arch the back and look up. Just some dynamic movement for the spine. And exhale, press back to downward facing dog. Let's hold here. Take another breath in together. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale the right leg to the sky. And exhale, curl it in toward your chest as much as you can. So really round your spine and then step your right foot to meet your right thumb. Pause here, inhale. And exhale. Come up onto your fingertips. If you need blocks under your hands, that's doable as well. So up on your fingertips, press your front heel into the earth and notice how your glutes on your right leg start to fire up. So when you're pressing your foot into the ground, notice that right hip really starting to warm up. Breathing here. You can start to drag your feet like you're trying to scrunch the mat in between your feet. Holding here, hold the space to listen to this posture. Now, if it's getting too hard, you can always place the blocks under your hands. Again, raising the ground to meet you where you're at. Remember, this is your practice. This is for you. This is not for anyone else. And if you're doing this practice for someone else, it can be considered your ego. And that might be a harsh reality to say. It might be intense to say. But when you do this practice, when you do practice to connect to your body, the outcome is completely different. So I know you're feeling that fire building up in that right hip right now. You might even feel it in the left as well if you're really dragging your feet together. Listen to this space. What's happening as you're holding this space for your body? Are you really bumping up against all of these things that make you want to stop? Just really holding the space here. Good. If you're using blocks, you can keep them under your hands. I would just say flatten them out and then step your right foot all the way back. That's just a fun little way of actually using blocks, is you can keep them under your hands as long as you need to. Take your breath in. Inhale forward to plank. And exhale, lower all the way to the earth. We're going to start by warming up the back. You can move your blocks to the side. Squeeze your shoulder blades together on your back and then inhale, lift your heart up. Exhale, release down. Inhale, lift, really reach your feet towards the back wall. Exhale, soften all the way down. One more. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift the heart up. Maybe you can lift the hands up. Keep squeezing your elbows towards each other and release down. Coming to all fours, hands and knees. You can press back to downward facing dog. Notice in this downward facing dog, if you want to look up, I had moved my blocks back under my hands. This gives your hamstrings a little bit of space for those of you who need a little bit of space in your hamstrings. Okay. On the next inhale, lift the left leg to the sky. And exhale, step your left foot forward. Pause here, inhale. And exhale. Come up onto your fingertips or your blocks. Breathing here, can you press your front heel down into the earth? Really dig it down and then find your breath here. You don't want your torso laying on your thigh either. Can you really press the back of your heart towards the sky? Lift your torso off of your thigh so you're really creating connection. But the main thing that I want you to focus on here is pushing that heel into the earth and then drag your feet towards each other and hold the space here. When the heat is coming, when it's building up, when that fire of transformation is here, this is oftentimes when we like to disconnect the most. We like to drop down, hang in our joints. We like to stop. But this is when the true change starts to happen, is right in this fire. So listen to what's happening, not only in your body, in that glute muscle firing up, but listen to what's happening in your mind. Are you wanting to stop when you could maybe go a little bit longer? One more inhale. And on your exhale, flatten your hands and step your left foot back to plank pose. Hold here, inhale. And exhale, shift your heart forward, lower all the way to the earth, chaturanga. We're gonna take our fingertips out wider than the mat. If you've never practiced with me, this is our 3-part cobra. My mentor taught it to me and I love it so much. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna inhale the back of the heart. You might actually watch me the first time. So inhale, the back of the heart goes to the sky. Exhale, squeeze your shoulder blades together down your back so your heart softens between your arms. And then pull your heart forward and up. Exhale, release down. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, round. Exhale, soften your heart between your arms so you're not really using your hands. Inhale, pull your heart forward. Exhale, release. One more time. Inhale, round. Exhale, squeeze those shoulder blades together. Soften your heart down. Pull your heart forward and up, sides of the waist nice and long, and release. All fours, hands and knees. And press back to downward facing dog. Enjoy a breath here. Inhale. And exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. Inhale, look forward to the top of the mat. Lift your heels off the earth and then baby steps to the top of the mat. Halfway lift on your inhale. Use your blocks if you need to. And exhale, bow, fold forward. Rise all the way to the sun. Reach your arms up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, bow and fold forward. Halfway lift, inhale. And exhale, step the left foot back and lower the heel to the earth. So your front heel will bisect the arch of your back foot. Okay, so your back foot is like perpendicular with the center of the mat. Long line. You can look at me if you're confused. Then we're gonna walk our hands to the inside of our right leg here. Pause here for a moment. Really feel this space. What's going on? Is this a challenging posture? What's happening in your joints? Now we're gonna take it even further. Press the outer edge of your front heel down into the earth. Really dig that in there. Feel that your outer hip is going to start firing up. It's going to start getting strong. Okay, then you can try to drag your feet towards each other. We're really focusing in the hips here. Nice long holds in the hips because our hips tell us a big story. And so if we can really connect and listen into our hips, we can find out a lot of information. So really dig that right heel, the outer heel, into the earth. Inhale nice and long through the spine, and then bow as much as you can. If you need blocks under your hands, that's fine. If you need a chair, that's also fine. Keep pressing that outer heel into the earth. Feel that burn, feel that fire. On your next inhale, walk your hands to the front of the mat and drop your back knee down, okay? Now, your groins right here on this back hip, I want you to sit them back, almost like you're pointing your tailbone to the back and almost to the right, so the right corner of the mat. You're pointing your tailbone. So you're not hanging in your front or your back hip. You're lifting your hips up and pointing that tailbone towards the corner of the mat. Now, you might need some blocks under your elbows. That's perfectly fine. This is the time where you do that because we're going to hang here for a moment. And I say hang here and we're totally not going to hang here. So what you're going to do is, again, press that front heel into the ground. Really feel that digging into the earth. And then try to drag your front heel towards your back knee and your back knee towards your front heel. Really feel that muscular activation. If you can't get both of those actions, the main one is really just focusing on digging that front heel into the earth. Press your outer heel into the ground. So even though we're hanging out here, we're still building the fire. We're still really challenging our bodies. Good. You can walk your hands up, remove your blocks to the side, step your right foot back to plank pose. Inhale, nice and long through the spine. Exhale, lower, chaturanga. Fingertips wide, round. Exhale, soften. Pull your heart forward and up. And release. All fours on your inhale. Exhale, press back to downward facing dog. Pause here. Feel into that right hip versus that left hip. Notice what your body is feeling in those parts. You may feel that heat in your right hip, in your entire right leg. Your right leg might feel longer now. Inhale, look forward, lift the heels, and on your exhale, baby steps to the top of the mat. Halfway lift, inhale, and exhale, bow and fold forward. Rise all the way to the sun. Hands to heart center. Inhale, reach your arms up. And exhale, bow forward. Halfway lift on your inhale. And exhale, right foot steps back. Back heel spins down so that the front heel bisects the arch of the back foot. Then you'll walk your hands into the center inside of your left leg. I call this humble downward facing dog because your arms are almost like this. They're almost in a downward facing dog position. So never knew the name of it. So humble warrior is another way you can call it, but the arms are a little bit different. So I just made it up. Random fact for you. Let's go ahead and connect with the body. Press into the outer edge of your front heel. Really dig it into the earth. Find that heel. Find that connection with your body. See if you can really push down. And then try to drag your feet towards each other. Again, the main action is pressing your heel into the earth. Then connecting here. Feel what's happening in the rest of your body. What's going on in your spine, your face. Can you reconnect to that Ujjayi breath? Nice and slow. Keep pressing into the outer edge of that heel. Don't let your knee wing in. And pressing into the outer edge of the heel will really help prevent your knee winging in. Inhale nice and long through the spine, and then you can bow. Remember, you can use blocks if you need to. Really feel that heat. Walking your hands back to center. You can walk your left foot out just a little bit and drop the back knee down. Again, we're not hanging in that back hip. We're going to pull our groins back, like our tailbone is going to point to the left corner of the mat in the back. Okay? Then still dig that front heel into the earth and stop digging it and then start again. And you can even put your hands on your glutes. When you really push into the earth, you can put your hands on your outer hip and feel that muscle fire up. You might find that you can hold the space to do both actions of dragging the knee and the foot towards each other while still really pressing that front heel into the earth. Hold the space for yourself. If you can't do one fully, then you can't do both of them. So just connect to the one. Don't put too many things on your plate. If you're new to this, just stick to the one action and really connect to it. Really get the full bout of information from that one thing. We oftentimes think that we have to do everything, and that burns us out so much faster, and it almost hinders us. So just really connecting to that front hip. Okay, you can begin to walk your hands back to center. If you bow down, you can come back up. Step your left foot back to plank pose. Inhale here. And exhale, shift your heart forward, lower chaturanga. Fingertips wide, round the spine. Inhale. And exhale, soften. Pull your heart forward in between your shoulders. And release down. All fours or plank. And downward facing dog. Again, pause here for a moment. Feel into your hips. On your next inhale, look forward. Walk, step, or hop to the top of your mat. Halfway lift on your inhale. And exhale, bow and fold forward. Rise all the way to the sun. Inhale. Exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to set our knees back. So bend your knees and sit your hips back. We're coming into chair pose. So sit your hips back. Your toes might come off the earth. That's fine. That'll help get you really balanced. But then put your big toe and your pinky toe and try to dig them into the earth. So I'm showing you from the side angle right now. You just stay here. Keep this posture. I want you to press your heels away from each other isometrically. So I'm going to show you here. You can just look up and see that this is not a big movement. So my knees are sitting back, but my hips are really bent. And then I press my heels away from each other. And it's not a big movement. It's literally like you're trying to spread the mat apart, but feel your outer hips. You can stop pressing and then try again to press your hips away from each other. Really feel those outer hips firing. Then you'll lift your heart up nice and tall. So that's really going to fire up your lower back. Keep pressing your heels away from each other. You can keep your hands on those muscles. Feel them shake. When your hands are on your own physical body and you're working something, this gives you so much more information. This gives you a new form of listening to your body because your hands are also a way of connecting. So not only are you connecting there through the sensation of your muscles firing, but the muscles firing under your hand is giving you another layer of information. So you can honestly feel when your muscle stops firing. You can feel when one fires stronger than the other. You can feel when they're different. It's really cool how just placing your hands on your muscles can change the pose entirely. So one more breath in, and then lovingly bow forward. After holding that, outer hips firing. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, bow. One more time, halfway lift. And exhale, you can hop or step back to plank pose, chaturanga. You can do cobra or upward facing dog. And I kind of want to pause and show you that really quick, the difference between cobra and upward facing dog. So you can watch me for a second. So we've been in plank, we were just in plank pose. And what happens oftentimes is people will just lower from here, straight down. And so this is really damaging on the wrists and the shoulder. So one of the things that you can do, first of all, is try it with your knees down, shift your heart forward past your wrists, and then lower to the earth. You're gonna let your heart fall, and then pull yourself in between your hands. That way you're not jamming your lower back, you're not hurting your wrists, and you're not hurting your elbows. So you can try that with me again. Coming to plank pose or on your knees. Shift your heart forward, past your hands, lower down, let your heart fall between, and then drag yourself forward. And then you can press back to downward facing dog. Right leg to the sky, inhale. And exhale, open up the hip, bend your knee. Now, pause here, breathe in. Now take your outer knee, try to lift it up even higher. You feel that same outer hip lifting up and firing. Really lift the outer leg up. Enjoying the breath. Go back to your Ujjayi breath. On your next inhale, straighten your leg, square your hips. And exhale, step your right foot to meet your right thumb. Press down, rise up, high lunge. Open up to warrior two. Pause here. What happens a lot of times is our back hip tries to sag forward. Let's go ahead and push the groins back. And when we do that, our front knee wings in, it drops in. So take your outer heel, press it into the earth. That'll help bring that knee back. Take a breath here. Now take your right hand to the outside of your knee. And not only are you pressing through your front heel, I also want you to press your knee into your hand and your hand into your knee and really feel that outer hip fire up. When we can take listening to our body in small chunks, so right now we're really working on this outer hip. When we can take it in small chunks, it's more doable, it's more processable. I don't know if that's a word, but it's more easily processed whenever you give your brain small chunks of information over and over and over again. Try to hold that activation and slowly lift your arms up to warrior two. Keep your outer heel digging down, knee pressing out. On your next inhale, flip the palm, reach it forward, and then up, arc it up to the sky to reverse warrior. Sorry, that just left my mind. Okay, exhale, spin the hands to the ground, and then drop the back knee. Wiggle your right foot out to the right. Take your left hand outside of your mat to the outer edge. You don't want it on your mat because you won't get the goodness of this pose. Press your front heel down, press your back knee down, and try to drag them towards each other. You get this nice, yummy, active stretch. You can place your hand behind your head. Just look straight ahead, really letting your heart open up. Just stretching all of that yummy work that we've been doing. Walk your hands back to center. Step back to plank pose and lower all the way down. Fingertips wide, round the spine. Inhale. Exhale, soften. Pull your heart forward and up. And release. All fours, hands and knees. Press back, downward facing dog. Next inhale, lift the left leg to the sky. And exhale, open up the hip, bend your knee. Connect here with the breath. Inhale. And exhale. Now, take that outer knee, try to lift it up to the sky. Notice your outer hip fires here. Keep connecting to that Ujjayi breath. One more breath in here. And exhale. Inhale, straighten the legs, square the hip. And exhale, step the left leg forward. Press down, rise up, high lunge. Open up to warrior two. Again, check in with your back hip. Is the groin sagging forward? Can you press it back? So you get to see this from a different angle. So if I'm here, my back hip is pointing towards the front. I press it back and notice how I'm sitting back now, but my front knee wings in. So I take my outer heel and I press it into the earth so that I'm firing up my glutes, keeping them strong. And then take your left hand to your outer knee on the front. Press your knee into your hand into your knee. That one bit of information of that glute firing. There's a lot of other things going on in the body, but can you just connect to that one thing? Really hone in on it. Can you keep that and lift your arms out straight to the sides? On your next inhale, flip your front palm, reach it forward and arc it up for reverse warrior. And exhale, hands to the earth. Left foot goes out to the left, right knee comes down, right hand outside of the mat. Press your front heel down, back knee down, and drag them towards each other so you really get this nice stretch. Take your left hand behind your head, open your heart up nice and long, wide through the collarbones. Breathing here. Hold the space for yourself. I give you a lot of silence so that your brain can go into these places. Really hone in on these actions. One more breath in. And exhale, allow your hands to come back to center. Step the left foot back and lower chaturanga. Fingertips wide, round the spine. Inhale. Exhale, soften your heart. Now pull your heart forward and up. And release. All fours, hands and knees. Press back, downward facing dog. Let's enjoy 3 breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. How do your hips feel here? One more breath in. Inhale, lift the heels, look forward. Exhale, walk, step or hop to the top of your mat. Halfway lift on your inhale. And exhale, bow. Rise all the way to the sun. Hands to heart center. Let's sit back to chair pose. Again, press your heels away from each other. And then I want you to shift your weight into your left foot and take your right foot over your left thigh. So you're in this figure 4 position. I'm gonna face you really quick. And it's really good to have blocks for this. So you're sitting into chair pose, shift your weight into your left foot, and then cross your right foot over. So you're in this figure 4 pose. Then I want you to really focus on squeezing that left hip in. So you have that activation right there. Do you feel that same muscular activation that we've been doing this whole time? It's a powerful muscle. You can think of pressing your heel, your outer heel down, and then try to scoot it out. I know you only have one leg on the ground, but you just focus in on those actions. And if you can't get those that specific, just really focus on squeezing that hip in. And it almost makes this outer hip come up. So now you feel that stretch. So where we've been actually strengthening these outer hips this whole time, in this right hip, you have the stretch. So now what you can do is you can take your hand on the outside of your right knee and press your knee down. Now this will intensify the stretch. Another thing you can do is come forward, bowing forward over your front leg or over your legs. Keep squeezing that left hip in, really feeling that burn. Hold in the fire. One of the things we do is step out too soon. We step out before the transformation can happen. Okay, you can slowly come up if your left buttocks will allow it, and then come to stand. Let's go ahead and inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, bow forward. Again, go into those hips. I'm going to give you silence so you can listen to those hips. Good. Halfway lift. And bow one more time. Coming all the way up. Hands to heart center. Sitting back into chair pose. Heels pressing away from each other. Shift your weight into your right foot and take your left ankle over your right thigh. Okay? Same thing. Your right hip is going to want to sag out. Can you squeeze it inward? Really pull it in. Now you can stay up here this high, and stay up this high, and then press your knee out into your hand. So you're really firing that muscle. This will intensify the stretch. Or you can bow forward. Having your blocks under your hands here is great too if you can't go all the way down and hold the strength. There's a difference between being flexible and then being flexible and strong. Okay, so keep that right outer hip squeezing in, almost like you're trying to hike up the left hip. One more breath in. Bend your knee a little bit and allow yourself to come back to stand. Woo! Feeling the booty here now. Let's come to the top of the mat again. Or let me get there. I guess y'all weren't not there. We'll inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Halfway lift on your inhale. And step or hop back, chaturanga. Cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Right leg comes to the sky, inhale. Exhale, step it forward. Press down, rise up, high lunge. Open up, warrior two. Reverse warrior on your inhale. And coming to side angle pose. So we're prepping here. So your right elbow can be on your right knee. Remember to keep your groins pressing back in that back hip. Your front knee, watch it so it doesn't swing in. Press it out and then dig your outer heel into the earth. You can have a block under your hand here, or you can have it on the earth. I personally like to put a block under my hand when I'm doing this because it allows me to really connect. When I get down too low here, it does work, but there's some days when I'm just not as flexible. So listen to that and place your hand on a block. Another thing that you can do is take your block outside of your ankle and then try to press your outer knee into your arm. See how that really changes it. Try to stay long through the spine, long through the neck. Reach your hand up to the sky. One more breath in here. Great job. Exhale, hands to the earth. And then go ahead and walk your right foot back closer to the center of the mat and drop your left hip. So you're going to be stretching in the top hip, but the bottom hip keeps pulling up. Okay, so you're trying to lift your hips, and that'll really stretch into that right hip, which should really feel good after the pose that we just did. And after all of this work that we've been doing in our hips. You can even continue to press your heel into the earth. That will intensify the stretch, just letting you know. Anytime we are adding strength to a lengthened muscle, it will intensify the stretch. Okay, you can come back. Coming back to plank pose. Inhale and exhale, chaturanga. Cobra or upward facing dog. Press back, downward facing dog. Left leg comes to the sky. Inhale and step it forward. Press down, rise up, high lunge. Open up to warrior two. Reverse warrior. And side angle prep. Okay, so left elbow onto your left knee. Keep the back groin sitting back. Your knee will want to wing in. Press your outer heel into the earth. Press your knee out. Go ahead and grab your block. Place it outside of your ankle. You can press your knee into your arm and your arm into your knee. Really get that strength. And then nice and long through the spine, through the neck. Arm comes to the sky. Any exercise that you do does not have to be destructive. It doesn't have to be tearing your body up. You can lovingly strengthen your body. You can lovingly move it, give it exercise, give it challenge. It doesn't have to be challenge to such an extreme that it's not even sustainable. You can take your hand to the earth, move your block, walk your left foot back closer to the center of the mat, and then lift your hips up. That's one of the reasons that exercise oftentimes isn't sustainable, is because we don't give it the opportunity to work for us, because we're just focused on how hard can I push my body. I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to work out for 2 hours, and then we're ruined for the next few days. And then on the other end, there's that not even starting. And then we have to make it through that fire of being really sore because our muscles are doing brand new activities. Okay, you can step back to plank pose and lower chaturanga. Fingertips wide around the spine. Inhale and exhale, soften. Pull your heart forward and up and release down. All fours, hands and knees. Press back, downward facing dog. Yummy. Inhale the right leg to the sky. And exhale. Take your right shin to the front of the mat. Now we're not cooling down here. So if you've worked with me, a lot of the times I use pigeon pose as my cool down, but not today. Okay. So you might need your blocks under your hands here. I'm going to give you information that the closer that your heel is towards your pubic bone, the easier this will be. So if you try to have your shin like parallel to the mat, it's a little bit harder. It's harder on your hips. So if you don't have that flexibility, then just pull your heel closer to your pubic bone. Feeling that stretch in your outer hip of the front leg. Can you press your front knee into the earth, your outer knee into the earth, and try to drag your back hip toward your front knee. Now, you might find that you come off the ground when you do that. Really pressing, really finding that strength in your hips. You'll find that your hips, whoop, they kind of float off the ground. You might get to where your hands come off the ground as well. Really dig that outer knee into the earth, drag it back towards the back knee and the back knee towards the front. You'll really feel that fire start to build up, but now we're working into flexibility with strength. And release down. We'll go ahead and go back to downward facing dog just to feel the yumminess of that. Great. Left leg will come to the sky. Inhale. And take your left shin across the mat. Closer the heel is towards midline, the easier this is. Can you press your outer knee of the front knee into the earth? Drag it back and then drag the back knee towards the front knee. And this takes a little bit of time to get it to where you can lift your hands off the earth. You have to find that balance as well. There's a little core here that it takes as well. But really just dig your knee into the earth, drag it backwards. And then you'll find that you can come up. But just give yourself time to get there. Your body has to understand that it's safe to do this. And right now, it might not be safe for your body. So that's another thing of listening. You can come down. Coming back to downward facing dog. Enjoy some breaths here. Go back to your Ujjayi if you lost it. That's another thing, is that we try to push our bodies past what they can do. There is a point where you need to challenge your body. But what oftentimes happened, and I was really guilty of this, was trying to force it somewhere where it wasn't ready to be. So in the past, I would force that, even though it hurt, I would force myself to be able to get off. So I could always muscle through it, but it didn't feel good. Sometimes we make choices in our life like that too, where we muscle through it. We to-do list through it, and it doesn't feel good. Our body tries to tell us the same thing. And if you can't even listen to your body and you push through it on your body, the same thing is happening in your life, in the deeper layers of who you are. Coming to your knees. We're going to work into Gomukhasana. So I'm going to go ahead and turn and face you with this. So staying on your hands and knees, all fours, the easiest way to get into this, or one of the easiest ways to get into this, is to take your left knee and place it behind your right knee. So now you have this crisscross action. And then all you'll do is sit your hips back. And I say that like all you'll do is sit your hips back. And some of you are gonna be like, what is happening? I remember when this pose used to be like death for me. So just take a block. You'll just sit on a block. That'll lift your hips higher. Sometimes you might have to sit on 2 blocks, but just make it to where it's sustainable, because you don't want to be miserable sitting here. Another way to add simplicity is, or intensify it less, is to pull your heels closer to midline, so closer to your body, and that decreases the stretch. So to increase it, you can walk your feet away from your body, and that'll increase the stretch going on in your hips. This is called Gomukhasana. It's a great pose to play in. You can play with leaning your hips forward or back, and that'll really intensify it, especially when you go back and you tuck your tailbone. So untucking and tucking your tailbone will really intensify it. One thing that you can do is you can take your left hand and go walk it out to the left. This is going to really intensify everything that we just did. So we focused on the hips today, on listening into the hips, and really it was our outer hips. And now we're stretching those outer hips. So a lot of the times people think that getting flexible is about hanging out in the pose and just stretching, which isn't the case. To create flexibility in your body, you must have the safety and the strength. Again, this goes back to listening to your body as it's in positions, as it's in poses. So instead, what we do is we spent the whole class, the whole hour, warming up these outer hips, strengthening them, connecting our brain to that area so that when we go to stretch it, it's like the brain knows where that muscle is. It has connection to that space. It's aware of what's going on in that muscle. All of that, us putting our hands on the muscle, us dragging our feet apart and really listening to our outer hip firing up, has prepared us for stretching into that. Now you don't have to be all the way down, just leaning over. You can come straight up again. So walking your hands over to the right now. And so the stretch will change. It just depends upon what's going on in your body. The stretch will change depending on if you have tight inner hips, tight outer hips, tight front hips, back of the hips. The hips are a very dynamic joint, and we only worked one action today that they do. So see how you can nourish the connection between your mind and your body just by activating one muscle group. So we listened to our outer hips. You can come straight up and then just walk your hands forward if you feel that you can do that. If not, just stay sitting straight up. You can walk yourself back up nice and tall, really feeling into those hips, listening to what they're telling you after that, all that work that we put them through. You can walk yourself forward, so walking your hands forward, and then just switch your legs. So the right leg will go behind the left knee, and you'll just sit back. Again, you can be sitting on a block, or you can be square on the ground or flat on the ground, having your hips on the ground. Just make it sustainable for yourself, because if you are doing something that pushes your body past where it feels safe enough to do it, then you're actually doing the opposite of what you want to do. So if you're pushing through all of your body's defense mechanisms, all of its protective mechanisms, if you're not listening to them, it will do the opposite. And then on the other hand, you can take your right hand out to the right. On the other hand, if you are not challenging your body enough, it's also going to fight back. It's also going to start showing you symptoms. It's finding that balance between over challenging your body and under challenging your body. There is such a fine and delicate balance. And again, it goes back to, are you aware enough? Do you listen to your body enough to understand when you've crossed the line? When you've crossed the line of not taking care of yourself or over challenging yourself, staying in the fire too long, burning yourself up, or not staying in the fire long enough, not able to change. You can walk yourself back up, come over to the left. And walk yourself back to center. This is a great way to cool down after all of that work and effort that we've put in. Your muscles might be screaming at you right now, but it's also a great way that we're slowing the heart rate back down. Continuing with that Ujjayi breath. You can walk yourself back up. Feeling into those hips. Take your hands forward, uncross your legs, and then you can come to lying on your back on the front of your mat. Or your head at the top of the mat, on the front of your mat, lying down. Pull your knees into your chest, just feeling that. Rolling out your ankles, maybe rolling out your lower back, just giving it a nice massage. Then go ahead and take the left leg straight, keep the right knee pulling into your chest, and then take the right knee and bring it over to the left side. You can have a block underneath your knee if you can't rest comfortably in this. You don't want your spinal muscles to be having to work extra hard. So if today is one of those days where you just need a little extra support, that's fine. Give it to your body. You don't have to be strong all the time. That was something that my body had to teach me. I had to learn to listen. You can bring your knee back to center, squeeze both knees in, switch, straighten the right leg. You can scoot your hips over to the right a little bit and then bring your left knee over again, just placing the block where you can rest and have a nice spinal twist. Because as we open up the hips, something else is going to have to stabilize that was mobile, overly mobile. Usually that's how the body compensates. So you might find that your neck is a little sore tomorrow. You might find that your core is sore. Different aches and pains might show up as you go through your day tomorrow. And that's why it's so vital to connect to the whole body, because as you start to strengthen one muscle, the rest of them are going to want to cry out as well. If you're only strengthening certain aspects, become imbalanced, and your body will cry out, and you will have to learn to listen. And really, the more subtle that you can start to listen to your body, the less it has to yell at you, which is great. It's like when you listen to your kid the first time, they don't have to yell at you, right? But it's the same in our body. So coming back to center, pull the knees into the chest, a nice balancing action here. Massage out your sacrum, your lower back, rocking and rolling. We're about to enter into Shavasana. And Shavasana is the most important pose, I think, one of the most important poses in yoga, because it's where we integrate everything that we just did. It's where our brain gets to process all the information that we just gave it. So as we're laying in Shavasana, I'm going to take you through a journey. And then after we're done, I'm going to ask you some questions just to ponder on, just to think about as you go about your day, step off the mat. So take your feet to the corners of the mat, let them fall out, just let them relax, and then allow your hands to fall out, face up, breathing in through the nose. Open the mouth, big sigh out. As we travel through our body right now, our bones are heavy, our eyes are closed. So we feel the earth almost like we're sinking into it, like it's pulling us down, grounding us. Notice what you feel in your body. Notice how your toes feel, how your thighs feel, how your hips, how they feel. Go into your rib cage, your lower rib cage where your solar plexus sits. Your heart, your chest, how does it feel? Notice your ears, the space between your eyebrows. Can you feel the space right above your head? And I almost feel like my hands are crying out that I didn't pay attention to them. So notice your hands even. And go back to your heart, your throat, between your eyes, and now right above your head. Just notice as your brain travels through your body. Thoughts might come up, and that's okay. If it's a big thought, write it down so it can realize that it was recognized. It's a practice you can take into your life. If it's big enough to need to be written down, just write it down. You can begin to notice yourself breathing. You can start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, coming back into your body. Reach your arms up overhead. Reach really long. And then roll, excuse me, to the right or the left side. Rest here for a moment, just ground. And then begin to walk your hands up, coming to a seated position. You can sit on a block or a pillow if you need to. Just resting as we ponder these last thoughts. So taking note of what you experienced. Some of you may feel absolutely great in your body. You might feel like, oh my gosh, I did not tear it up. Like I got to connect with it in a loving way. And you feel great, you feel energized, you feel ready for the day. And a lot of the times this is that feeling of sustainability, like I could do this every day. And that's a great place to be. And that's what you want to feel in your workouts is I could do this every day. And then on the other side, you might feel like you're not completely connected. Like I'm tired. This could have brought up a lot of feelings of frustration. It could have brought up feelings of strong emotions, things like that, and things that you don't completely understand right now. And that's all okay as well. And I like to say that you almost have an advantage from people who did a lot of tearing their body up, did a lot of pushing their body to the extreme, because right now you get to start fresh. You get to start very fresh with a method that is sustainable, that you can sustain for your body, and it is possible. And both ends of the spectrum, it's finding something that is a way to love your body versus forcing it into something. If you can find something that's very comfortable, and this is what I strive to bring with exercise and movement, is I strive to bring you a program, a yoga that allows you to have sustainable connection to your body, that allows you to feel good and nourish and not tear your body up, not destroy it, not push it to the max, but you still get all the benefits, if not more, of the strength and the toning and all of that that comes with movement that is special for your body. Okay? So if this is something that you are like, I want to continue, this is why I decided to do yoga this way, is because it's very sustainable. And if this is something that you're like, I want to continue doing more yoga, that's a great start, because some people, there's barriers. Like they don't want to go to a yoga studio. They don't want to go to a gym. This is done at home. As you can see, I only work out at home, really. There's a link below that will take you to the yoga that I offer. That's offered 3 times a week. It's up for 48 hours after the class is aired. And we're working out together. We're spending time together. So click on the link below, and you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram, Dr. Nicole Evans. And you can always ask questions. I love to hear what your experiences are. I love to hear what came up for you. If something came up for you that you don't understand, you can also reach out to me, and I would love, love, love to help you connect and understand what that is. So thank you guys so much for showing up for yourself today, for showing up on the mat, and I hope to see you again at the next perfect time. Thank you. Namaste.